My name is GlenNeta Griffin. I am the founder of the Georgia Media Academy, and this event is actually powered by my company. I am also an actress, I'm a host, I'm an author, and I've been coaching women and had a passion for women's empowerment for years. This is something I'm very passionate about, so it is definitely an honor for me to be able to do this and to share this information with you guys and to celebrate you all and talk about some things that you may need to talk about and have you guys ask questions tonight to our trained professionals that I'm going to introduce you to. So thank you for tuning in and for being here with us tonight. So let me introduce the ladies that are going to be here with us. First, we have Kelisa Volson. Wave as Kelisa. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Say hey. Hey, how are you?
Yes.
And then we have Makeba Reed Johnson. Hey, Makeba, how are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm doing great.
Good, good. So I hope everybody can hear us okay. If you have any questions for us, I'm going to let these beautiful ladies introduce themselves. But if you have questions, there is a chat or a Q&A at the bottom of the screen. So if you click on Q&A, if you're on the phone, it may be different. You may have to click in the top right corner. But check for Q&A. You can put all of your questions there, and then we're going to answer them at the end of the call, okay? So just remember, put your questions there, and we're going to go through the whole interview, and then we'll get all of your questions answered by somebody that's on this call tonight, okay? All right, awesome. So happy Mother's Day to you all. Kelisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Kelisa Volson, and I'm trained as a licensed professional counselor, certified anger management specialist, supervisor, authenticity coach, you name it, I do it pretty much. And I work with all the ladies and children, men, women, boys, and girls. And I own a private practice south of Atlanta, about 45 minutes in Griffin, Georgia. And I'm also doing teletherapy currently. And before the pandemic, I was actually doing it, but now I'm doing it full time. For Florida, Louisiana, and Georgia. And I'm just glad to be here to be able to help the moms and give them some expert advice on how to maintain or be more healthy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I think your screen is frozen. Can you see us? Are we moving to you? Kelisa? There you go. Okay. You just popped out. You were frozen on my screen, so I wasn't sure. Okay, awesome. But I heard you fine, so great. So Makeba, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Makeba Reed Johnson, and I have an MPH, a Master's in Public Health, a Master's in Public Administration, and a Bachelor's in Social Work, and I've been in women's health and wellness for over 20 years.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So I've had a chance to work with both of these ladies in different capacities, and they are both amazing. So it is such a treat and a joy to have both of y'all here tonight. So thank you so much for joining me in this, okay? Awesome.
Oh, sure.
So let's talk about this. Let's just start here. Right now it's a trying time for not just women, but especially moms, because unexpectedly, we've been thrown into situations. The moms that have school-age kids, we're homeschooling. I know I'm homeschooling 3 kids, and it is, I don't even know how to describe it, y'all. It is not that much fun. Let me just say, and I love my kids, but homeschooling 3 kids unexpectedly, and then trying to run a business and still have a life is very difficult, okay? So I just want to say that, and we're going to talk about that tonight to give our moms a little relief or some tips that we can work on. But why collective self-care? So why is it so important, especially for moms, to have self-care? And you could start with you, Makeba.
Sure. Well, I think it's important because when we're talking about self-care, especially with Black women, I think about the research that came out several years ago concerning Black women 7.5 years biologically older than white women. And what that means is that because of the stress that Black women have, the anxiety that Black women carry with us, that it actually ages us internally. So, while we talk about all the stuff about Black don't crack, and my melanin is popping, my skin, blah, 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 and how much younger Black women look as we get older, we actually are older on the inside. And it's something that we really don't talk about because that information is just not a normalized conversation. So I think in terms of when I want to talk about self-care, it's got to be talked about collectively, because I just can't be doing self-care in my little bubble over here. You're doing self-care in your bubble over there. When we start talking about it as a group, it's easier for Black women to say, okay, well, sis has boundaries. She's doing this. She's not taking calls after 7 p.m. So it's also okay for me to do. So it kind of helps us get permission from one another when it's done collectively and as a group, instead of just one person at a time trying to take care of themselves.
Awesome. What about you, Kelisa? Why is self-care so important? And we can say for Black women, but for all women, just for women in general and moms, why is self-care so important?
Yeah, because like you said, now during this pandemic time, we're having to put on even more of a load than we already do in regular times. Now we're having to be the teacher, the custodian, the cafeteria lady, and the principal, and all these things in one, and still run our business and still, take care of ourselves in the midst of it, doing therapy. I'm talking to people every day about how they feel about the pandemic and being stressed about it and being depressed and anxious about the unknown. So it's especially, important for us women that are still working on the front lines, on the back supportive lines, or however in the middle and everything in between, to be involved in some type of self-care so we can continue to be there for those that need us the most. And that includes our children. But we can't be there for them properly if we're not actively doing things for ourselves to make sure we're in the right mind frame, and mentally, emotionally, and also physically.
That's good. And that's very true, because if we are not whole ourselves and we don't have it all together, we're not going to be good for anybody else. And that's what I think a lot of moms, we neglect that. We put ourselves on the back burner and we're always trying to be everything to everybody else. But if you don't take that time to refuel and to care for yourself, you're not going to be any good to everybody else, because you're going to be empty by the time you get back. So I think that's very important. Let's talk about some tips, some parenting tips, or tips for moms, new moms, or just anybody in this time right now. What are some tips that we could give them that can help them stay on track, or to even use for self-care right now? Either one of you is good.
Well, GlenNeta, I would definitely start out with us giving ourselves permission to not be perfect right now, especially in the age of social media, with everybody's trying to post, hey, look at my little classroom that I've got going on. I'm homeschooling everybody, and look at my workspace, and look at my cool mask that I got. And so you just feel like, wow, it's a lot of pressure out there, because it's like everybody's kind of got a handle on it. And we just need to understand, especially, I just want to reach out to moms like you, GlenNeta, that are homeschooling. You really need to understand that your kids are going to be okay if they don't learn anything between now and the end of the school year, besides just how to breathe and how to relax and just be in a space of, hey, I'm home with mom. Mom's got a lot going on. There's all this stuff going on in the news, but hey, I'm in a safe space. That's really the major concern that moms really should have right now, is, hey, my kids are okay at home, and not be trying to make your child a rocket scientist in the next few weeks that school is supposed to be in session. It's a lot of pressure on moms right now. So I think the biggest thing is, hey, if your house is a mess, like my biggest thing tonight was, I told my husband I need to get a corner in my house where nobody can see the junk that's in my house, because I haven't housekeeping. And I'm like, gosh, all these Zoom meetings I'm looking at, like everybody's little space is just so nice and neat in the background. Let me try to find a space. So like, everybody just needs to know that it is okay to not be perfect during this time. This time is transitionary, and it's okay to not have all of your ducks in a row right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because, you know, there's a lot of pressure. You see people that are posting pictures or videos of them working out and they're still getting summer fine, getting their summer bodies, and they're eating well and they're doing their smoothies. And guess what? I'm not doing my smoothies right now and I'm still okay. You know, everybody, that's a lot of pressure because you're looking at everybody else going, oh, well, she did 4 miles today. Well, guess what? I didn't. Yeah. I took a nap and I'm still okay. You know? Exactly. It's a lot of pressure. And that's where social media comes in because you're watching everybody else do that. And now you're taking on that pressure of them, you know?
Yeah.
I'm really glad you said that. Kelisa, same for you. What are, some parenting tips that you have for anybody during this time right now?
Yeah, I agree with everything Makeba said. Is just being gracious with yourself and understanding that, I don't have all the answers. These kids got all types of work that they're doing that I have no clue, that I probably didn't even do when I was in college. I don't have no clue on what to do and how to do it. And then those that are moms to be and those that are getting ready to have babies during this time, just make sure that you try to keep yourself in the mindset of everything's going to be okay. I know this is scary. I'm going in the hospitals where everything is going on, but they're going to make sure that you're in the right space and make sure that you're able to, deliver your baby however you need to in that space and that you're going to come out okay. And then when you come out, you just do the best you can with the tools that you have. And the tools that you don't have, you'll surely learn along the way because that's how most of us learn is just by trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And also, kind of what Makeba was saying too, whatever your kids are not learning right now, don't put that pressure on you because they're going to make sure, the educators and the school system, they're going to make sure that they recap. It may be a lot of, hard work or cramming to get them up to speed, but trust me, they're going to get them up to speed. And I'm not saying don't have your kids do work, but I'm saying if your kids bring you some math like my daughter did yesterday that I had to look at, and I didn't even know what that was, I was like, you know what? Your teacher's still getting a check. So I'm gonna need you to go and email her and see how she wants you to do this. Because the way I was gonna do the problem is not the way her teacher wanted her to, and I don't feel guilty about it. And if she didn't get a perfect score, guess what? I'm okay with that too right now. They are gonna make sure these kids are okay. So that's a lot of the things right now. I think we're just adding extra pressure on ourselves to try to make sure we still have it all together. And that's hard. Like we're doing this to ourselves. When we can actually just kind of relax a little more. So yeah, I agree with both of you ladies so much. So let's talk about the things we can enforce, self-care practices from home while we're working from home. Like what are some things we can do maybe during the daytime or while we're at home? Because we can't leave. We're not supposed to be getting our nails done. I mean, it's open. If you choose to go, that's great. That's for you. That's fine. I have not gotten my nails done yet. I would love to. I'd love to go to the spa right now, but I'm not going to do that right now yet either. But what are some self-care practices that we can do from home right now?
Well, I would definitely say make sure that you're getting some type of physical activity. It doesn't have to be you're getting up every day and running a half marathon, but just, to walk your neighborhood or to do some things in your yard, to get outside, to just have the sun on your skin, just to be physically active, but not in a way where you're, in like a competition with yourself or you're trying to meet some in-game goal, because now is definitely not the time to be trying to set any type of fitness goals, I don't think. So I think that definitely getting some type of physical activity in on a regular basis, even if it's just an at-home YouTube workout, I think that's important too. Also, like my husband had to tell me, I love to cook. So I had like all these quarantine recipes that I wanted to do, and I sent them to the store. And I think one of my things that I had to cook had like vanilla extract in it. And he said, he was walking through the store, he was like, please don't send me to the store to make anything else fancy because the shelves aren't stocked right now. And I was like, wow. So, just to make sure that you're not putting pressure on yourself either with, what you do have in the house, and you've got to just make sure, hey, I'm doing the best I can. If there's ramen noodles and broccoli, then that's okay, that's dinner. And for me not to have this great big spread every night, but to be a little bit cognizant of, I do want to try to eat healthy and to fuel my body during this time, but not in a way where I'm adding additional pressure.
Right.
Oh, I don't see
agree.
GlenNeta.
I think something happened, so I'll just give my point, and then hopefully she comes back in.
Okay.
Also with self-care and making sure that even if you aren't able to get outside sometimes, and just finding a corner somewhere, like you said, making a corner look nice for you, in the midst of what's going on in your home. Find a little spot somewhere in the corner that you can just call your own, even if it's temporary, where you can just take some deep breaths and just refuel yourself, recharge, and just refresh yourself. And that has made a world of difference for even me. It's just sometimes I'll have to go in the bathroom and steer away and lock the door, because you just may be in the space where it's a lot of people, everybody's there together, your family, your kids, your husband, your spouses. And so sometimes you just have to make way with the space you have, and utilizing it the best way possible, and still being able to get that relief that you so deserve and need.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Hey,
That's a
ladies,
good point.
I'm
You're
sorry
also
about
making
that.
me
I
think
had a
about.
bad connection.
Oh no, there you are.
Yeah.
I'm back. I'm
Yay!
sorry.
We
I
just
don't
kept
know
on
what happened.
trucking.
I just missed it out. But thank y'all for running the show. I'll keep going.
You taught us well. Don't stop, keep going.
Keep going. Look, if something happens to me, just run the whole show, okay? But go ahead. What question are we on? I don't even know where we were.
Oh, well,
we learned that from you.
Kelisa's
keep going.
Point. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I was just adding to Kelisa's point about having the space to, kind of decompress. What's really helped me during this pandemic is I've had the opportunity to wake up in the morning and actually read before I start my day, and actually journal. And I have not been able to, or have had time to do that since I was a teenager. And that really kind of sets the tone for my day, of being able to be still before my day starts. And I know that after this is all over, that's something that I definitely need to continue doing, and to make myself have time, carve that time out for myself every day. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I've been able to get through several books that have been in a stack that I have not been able to get to. I'm always posting my motivational quotes daily, which, it helps people, but it helps me just kind of set the tone for the whole day and kind of give me a positive affirmation that I can kind of hold on for the day. So I've actually really enjoyed the time. Like, I've gotten so much done, and so many just small projects that were kind of on the back burner because I was just running, all day. So I really feel like, whatever happens, we as moms and as women, we have this time, and we've had a chance to connect to our children and with our families more. And I don't think that we should come out of this the same person. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you have to be 20 pounds less. It's not about that. It's mental. Mentally being able to get some things back together. I think that we should all come out of this as a different person.
I agree.
I totally agree with that. One of my former students was saying that she liked the idea that she can't go outside, quote unquote, because it's making her go inside. And that really made me think about all of the stuff, especially as moms, that we're doing all the time. And now you have this break away from that. And now there are things that you need to be doing inside of yourself. And that's what you were talking about, GlenNeta, is coming out of this with, some type of, something that you've added to yourself, not externally, but something internal, because you've gone inside and you've done some things, you've added some things to who you are. Very important.
Yes, I love that. I definitely think this has been a good time for self-reflection. Yeah, and it has been for me. I know that. Definitely. So let me ask you ladies this. So as when it comes to self-love and self-care, what do you think that the end game is, or the ultimate goal should be for we as women and moms?
Well, I talk about all the time, like the self-care protocols that you have, like meditation, reading, deep breathing, exercise, eating right, that those protocols should eventually guide you and lead you into, like the same way when you start a fitness program where you say, okay, I want to be able to run X amount of miles by this date, or I want to shed or gain X number of pounds by this date. There needs to be some type of end game with self-care and self-love. And for me, it's getting to the place finally where I don't have to be doing this reactive self-love. Like there's something that's happening externally and it's getting on my nerves. So now I'm going to sit and deep breathe. No, I want to get to the point where I'm already deep breathing, so the external stuff does not have that type of effect on me anymore, and that I'm coming into the world from a place of, hey, I am employing self-care from the essence of who I am, not in response to stress, but just from the essence of who I am. And so I don't have to be doing all these things daily to combat stress, that I'm able to manage anxiety better just by how I am perceiving my surroundings by being in the moment.
Oh, I like that. Be in the moment. I think that's so important. What about you, Kelisa?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Makeba said. And also, I talk to so many people about setting and maintaining boundaries. That is like one of the number one things, and not feeling guilty. That is self-care, is being able to
Yes.
stand up and say what I'm willing and can and cannot do. And oftentimes people, they will see it as a, all or nothing thing with boundaries, but it's not. It can be, okay, I can do this, but not right now. So you can pick and choose your, parameters of your boundaries, whatever suits you for different situations, but definitely you have to have clear cut, consistent boundaries. And I think that is going to be a big, big, big thing to help you in self-care, because being able to say no is not always easy for us moms, women, and, in general. But, if you can say, I'm saying no right now and not maybe forever, then that kind of helps you, be able to do it better.
Yes, I agree with that. That was on my list to talk about, saying no and not being afraid to say no. And what I actually put together was focusing on what matters the most. And you can say no and still be a good mom, a good wife, a good mother, like, or a good person. Like you can say no to something that you really don't want to do, or you really don't want to do right now, or whatever. You can say no, I'm going to focus on me this evening. Or no, Saturday, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm having a me day. You could say no to having to go to a ton of events when we open back up, like really get back out. Like you don't have to go and exhaust yourself and feel like you have to be everywhere. If you're enjoying being home or spending more time with your family, you can say no. And I think that's something that we as women or moms, we tend to get into, and we're afraid to say no sometimes because people are always depending on us.
Absolutely. And I just want to add to that, GlenNeta, is that when you are in a place where you start setting boundaries, it's usually because you have not in the past, which makes now saying no difficult, because people don't understand it, because now they're saying, oh, well, you're acting funny, or you don't want to do anything anymore. So you have to be okay enough to do it and know that people around you are going to have a learning curve for them to now understand, okay, she used to do all these things before, but this is now her new, set of boundaries, and this is for her self-care. And now I have to adjust to her saying no, and you've got to be okay and not feel guilty when you start saying no.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit more. So what are some ways that, like scenario-wise, that you can, say no without being and I'm being nice with my language, but like without someone calling you the B word, like what's a nice way to relay that to a family member or a friend or someone who relies on you, or someone that asks things from you all the time, because we all have those certain people that ask things of us all the time. What's a nice way that we could say no, that, you know, let them know we're focusing on ourselves?
I think sometimes you just have to, you can say it in a stern way and not be you know, that word or that that type of person or have that type of attitude. But for example, you know, sometimes I'll have people, if I say, you know, I'm only going to see, you know, a certain amount of clients at between these certain hours. And then they'll say, well, you know, I can only do this day or that day because I work or something like that. And then I'll say, yes, I understand. And I do have availability on, you know, certain times of that may accommodate you, but I just don't have that available for you on this day that you're asking for. And I think once you know, people will respect your boundaries as long as you keep them imposed. But sometimes people will try to see how far they can go with crossing the boundaries, or if you'll let up a little bit or bend them. But you, like, again, I say you have to be consistent. And I think as long as you continue to be consistent and let people know this is something that I'm adamant and this is a non-negotiable thing, then they'll respect it, or not. But that's your problem, not mine, you know.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Makeba,
I
you
think
want to say
about,
something?
yeah, sure. I think about like what Kelisa was talking about with her being a therapist. People like me who are mental health advocates, I'm not a therapist. I'm a great friend to people, but I have, like, one of my biggest things is being able to tell people, can you get a therapist? Because I cannot be the person that is the dumping ground for my friends' problems, because that's kind of been something I've had issues with setting boundaries with in the past.
Yeah.
And especially, I think it's great with now the telemental health module now being out there and available, and now people now understanding, hey, I can now, you know, having that accessibility to talk to a therapist is now something that's easier for me now because of, you know, the shift in technology. But just for people to understand, you don't have to take on your friends' problems, and that your friends need to be a little bit educated in that, to understand, hey, when I'm doing that to my friend, you know, that's a infringement upon her boundary. And that's also not her place in the friendship. And for a person to actually be able to be comfortable telling their friend, hey, sis, you know, you sound like you're going through a lot. You might want to talk to a therapist about this, but I still love you and I'm still here for you.
Yeah, I think that's good. And that kind of segues into what I wanted to ask you too. When do you think either one of you is a good time to know when you need that more intense intervention versus your self-help strategies? Because, you know, we have our everyday strategies we can kind of do to relieve stress. It may be tea, it could be a warm bath, you know, it could be something simple like that. But when do you think it's a good time to know that you may need to really talk to somebody and get some professional help? Because honestly, I would say, you know, not just we as women, but we as Black women, you know, especially we don't do therapy as much as we should, you know. And I think that comes from our backgrounds and how we were raised. We kind of dealt with things differently in our families, and we didn't talk about things as much. And it's not as common as it should be to go and you know, and actually speak to someone and talk to a professional. So, you know, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that when you're having some issues that is causing you not to be able to function with your normal daily routine, it's a disruption, and it's consistently being a disruption over a period of time, and you can't do anything to kind of resolve it, then you may need to seek some, you know, higher level of help, because, you know, you've tried everything, or, you know, you feel like, especially now with everything's going on, I tell a lot of people, you may have had underlying issues, but now we have all these additional things going on. It just has magnified the issues. And now you don't have the tools to deal with those issues anymore, and all of the other stuff piled on top of you. So now I can't function in my daily life anymore as per usual. So now I need to reach out for help and make sure that I'm getting the right directives on what to do.
Absolutely. What about you, Makeba?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I try to encourage people to ask themselves about how often they go to the doctor. Like everybody at least thinks that they need to go in for an annual physical. And I try to tell people you need to at least once a year talk to a therapist just to do a mental health check-in, because a lot of people aren't even that self-aware to even realize when it's too much, because they're just so accustomed to taking on so much. And sometimes it's just that feedback from that professional for them to say, hey, this is actually something that you need to go into a therapeutic session or group of sessions with. And this is not something that you need to be handling on your own. But if you don't have the type of mindset where it's on your radar ever, then you really need to start asking yourself, hey, have I never had therapy before? If you've been to the doctor ever in your life, you need to have at least one time checked in with a mental health professional, at least once. And if you haven't, now would be a great time, because a lot of healthcare providers are waiving the copay.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So basically, getting a mental health check can be a lot easier than we think. Because for someone who has never done it, do you have any recommendations, Kelisa, for doing it? Because now, if you want to talk a little bit about how the sessions are being done virtually, you want to talk about that?
Sure. It just depends on if your insurance provider or if you're self-pay. You may want to seek somebody through a platform like Psychology Today. There are a lot of therapists in your area. You just put in the information, what area that you're in, and it'll pull up different people based on their expertise and what, like I said, specialty they have and who they see and all of those things. There's also a coronavirus therapy website that's doing low cost therapy for those on the front lines for people. Also, what I'm doing now is livehealth.com, Live Health Online, and it goes through your insurance. And as Makeba said, they're waiving copays. And it's as simple as setting up a profile and putting in the state that you are in, and it will pull up providers, and then you just schedule based on the time that's available and convenient for you.
That's good to know. If you ladies have any other resources, like if you know the coronavirus website or, anything like that, just go ahead and plug it. Just give everybody, hopefully they're writing it down or they'll go back and replay it. If you ladies are watching and you came in late, the broadcast is going to be available afterwards, so you can actually log back in and you can see it from the very beginning. So it will be available for you to watch as many times as you need, and then we're going to publish it, on all social media as well. So if you missed anything, make sure you get back in it and get everything from the beginning. But if you ladies do have those websites for them, go ahead and plug those resources that you have and, go ahead and give that to them. Let's talk about reinventing ourselves. So I am a firm believer, as a mom and as a wife, I am still a work in progress. And I feel like I've reinvented so many times, and I don't believe there is a max of how many times I can reinvent myself. So thank you, Kelisa, for posting that. I appreciate that. And I just want to talk about reinventing, because I don't feel like we as moms and women, there should be a cap. You can't, not saying, oh, okay, well, I had a baby and then I lost weight. This is a true story for me. So how, I had a couple kids, and then I felt like I lost myself, and then I reinvented myself. Then I had another baby that was a surprise baby. I had to do it again. I mean, just the things that I've been through, I feel like I've reinvented multiple times. Like, what do you ladies have to say about reinventing yourself? Thank you for that, Makeba.
Oh, sure. Well, I definitely say that to always be a student and a student of the world. I love talking to people that don't feel like they know everything. And I think it's important for us to also try to be that person, because that number one, it helps to alleviate stress if you don't feel like you have to always have all the answers. And like what you were saying, you know, when you're going through, you know, being a mom and being, you know, and having a career and having your own business, there are all these intersectionalities where you feel like, hey, I've got to be the perfect mom. I've got to, you know, have the you know, an on-point business. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And you feel like you have to be on top of everything all the time. And it's okay just to say, hey, you know what? I want to actually start learning something new and being a beginner at it and not being proficient or an expert at it, like learning a new language or learning a sport or just learning how to knit or just learning something that you don't know. So definitely that's a really good point of just always being able to grow and to expand who you are.
Yeah, and this is a good time for us to find new passions, or, you know, if it's something that's been on your bucket list that you wanted to learn, if it was, you know, piano or like you said, knitting, something like that you've already, you know, you always wanted to do, it's a great time to do that. You know, what about you, Kelisa?
Yeah, reinventing yourself is always, you know, kind of what happens to you if you're growing and evolving as a person, and you know, every day you should, you know, reinvent something. If it's nothing but, you know, how am I going to effectively wash the dishes while I'm juggling trying to help my son with his homework? You know, just it's different things that you want to improve on all the time, but just being a better person in general and being more aware of, you know, how to help yourself first. And then, you know, you can be better able to be the mother that you need to be, the wife, the husband, or however, and just be a better servant of the community. Um, but yeah, just always trying to be a student of being better and self-development, of improving and learning and figuring out who you are at the core of being authentic to yourself, because we always have such what I call the noise, the naysayers, the opposition, the influences, the environmental stressors, and the all of those things can kind of deter you from some of those things that you always want to do or have thought about doing. So you have to clear out the noise and get somewhere quiet to yourself and figure out, okay, what is it that I need to do to be a better human being?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I want to encourage all the ladies to have that me time. And whether if your schedule allows you to set that me time and it's every night from 9 to 10 p.m., or it's every morning from 9 a.m. to 10, you know, if that's a time that you can set. But if you can set that time that's consistent, or if you can just maybe pull away, you know, every day and give yourself that me time and do something that's just for you, whether it's, you know, prayer, meditation, you know, reading, whatever it is, taking an online class, something like that, like whatever it is, I want to encourage you to set that me time, because you're worth it and you need it. And you need to be able to pull away, and you need to be able to tell your family, your husband and your kids, listen, this is my me time, and I have my me time tonight. From, like, I put all the kids out when I have, you know, when I'm doing my calls and things like that. I'm like, listen, you got to be quiet, give me an hour, you know, and just let me do this, you know. And I think it's very important to set that me time and to tell our families what we need. You know, I think that's a lot of times we take on so much and we don't say, you know, that I need help, or, you know, that you need time for yourselves. And I think that's very important too. So I want to also talk about investing in yourself. So you were talking about classes and therapy and vision boards. What are some other ways that you can actually invest in yourself to make yourself more of a priority? Because I feel like we are the greatest projects that we are ever going to work on in our lives, okay? You can work on other people's projects all day long. You go all in with everybody else, but you are the greatest project that you will ever work on. So what are some other ways that we can invest in ourselves?
Well, I definitely think it's important to make sure that everything is coming from a place of self-love and building up things that, you know, like when I was growing up. Like my brother and I have 7 college degrees between the two of us. So everything was about school, 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 school. And that was the metric. And now I wish, looking back, that I had, relaxed more and done more things that weren't measured by capitalistic success or academic success, that I had more self-awareness to say, hey, I want to start doing some things to add to myself and be successful in just being more conscious of how I'm feeling. And just like what we were talking about, setting boundaries, that comes from a place of being very self-confident within yourself to be able to say, hey, I don't want to do this, but hey, I do want to do this, and nobody else is over here doing this, but I want to go do this thing that nobody else is interested in. So I definitely think that that's important too. And I also wanted to, GlenNeta, just go back to what you were saying about the growing and the transitioning and shifting roles. Like I always want to think about, the people out there who don't have their moms anymore, and where Mother's Day used to be this great, time of the year, and how just when you are a mother, first, before you become a mother and you have your mom, that's one way of celebrating motherhood. Then when you are a mom and then you've got your mom, then that's another way of celebrating motherhood. But there, are like a lot of people that are kind of struggling right now with, this might be their first Mother's Day where they're still a mom, but they don't have their mom anymore. And that's also something that, you've got to learn how to now navigate what that looks like for you, and for you to try to make sure that you've got a support system in place where you're okay with navigating that for yourself.
That's good. That's good. What about you, Kelisa? You want to add on to that?
I think that's good. What she said is just making sure that, we are considerate of those things, like, the mothers that don't have their mothers anymore. Even now with the social distancing, a lot of us can't even be or visit our mothers during Mother's Day because we're so far away, or, we can't, we're quarantined or social, like I said, social distancing. So it's everything's different now. Our new normal is different, and we're having to try to navigate and do things differently. So, it's just one of those things where you just take it day by day, and you work things out as you go, and not feel like, okay, I don't know what the end is going to be, because even before the pandemic came, we didn't know what the end was going to be either.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think, a lot of times people see it as, I was more in control before the pandemic came, but we really were never in control in the first place.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I think also moving forward, because we know that life is going to be different when all of this is over, the way we approach things is going to be different. The way we handle our business, the way we socialize, everything is going to be different, when all of this is like completely over. And what I want to encourage our women today to do is to make your own happiness a priority, because that is very, very important. As moms and as women, we have to make our own life and our own peace
Absolutely.
and our own happiness a priority. And I truly feel like we create our own happiness. And I think that you have to also search and find out what makes you happy. And you would be surprised how many people we've gotten so used to making everybody else happy that we don't look at what actually makes us happy anymore.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you want to add on to that, but that's me, where I just feel like we have to make our own happiness a priority.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not selfish.
Right. And for us, and for me, it's really hard, or it was a hard pill for me to swallow when I realized that my happiness is up to me and nobody else, even though I've been married for 31 years this year.
Oh,
and, I would love to put that on my husband, like, it's your job to make me happy. But it's really not. It's really up to you. And if you don't do it, nobody else can for you.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I truly believe that. I think that we get disappointed a lot as women and as moms because we expect us from other people.
Ooh.
Okay.
Say that again. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta say that slowly though. It's true. And this is one of the biggest things that I battle with. I'm a giver, and I love doing things for other people, and I love, celebrating other people and things like that. It comes natural to me. I don't need anything back in return necessarily from it. It's just that I just love to do it. But then sometimes when it's my time, I may want to be celebrated a little bit. I'm a Leo. I like to be celebrated, So, but because I tend to go overboard, and I expect me from other people, and everybody doesn't think the same way, and everybody doesn't give the same way or love the same way. And then it becomes a disappointment to me. And I think that, I know I'm not the only person, but I think that that's one thing moving forward. You have to stop expecting you from other people.
Yes.
Right.
I love that, because I also am what I call a serial giver. And you get depleted really quickly when you're in that mindset. And also you kind of just expect something back every now and then when it's, your turn to be celebrated, and you get kind of disappointed when it's not. So thanks for bringing that up. That's really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you want to say something on that, Kelisa?
Yeah, and I see a lot of in relationships, particularly with couples, that talk about where I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because I would do it. But that's the point. You would do it. Who's to say they have to, or who's to say they want to? That like you said, GlenNeta, we're all individuals. We all have different mindsets and ways of thinking, and I think that being more gracious with people, and just being able to see past ourselves and understand that everybody loves differently, everybody receives loves differently, and we just have to be able to understand that as a whole, because we're all in relationships, or whether it's romantic or friendship or business or family. It's all relative relationships. So in order to have healthy relationships, we have to understand that everybody's different, and everybody's not going to do what I do, and don't expect anything in return. If I give something in return, that's great. But I need to do it from a place of I'm doing it purely for no alternative reason, just because I want to do it.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And I think especially coming up for Mother's Day, you have to do something for yourself, to where even if you don't receive everything that you expected, you're still okay, because you took care of yourself, and I think that's one thing we have to do, is start making ourselves more of a priority. And that's when it comes to making yourself happy. You have to get to a place where you make yourself so happy, it doesn't matter, or the other things that people add to your life, that's just icing on the cake. You're not sitting around waiting on somebody else to do something for you or to complete you. You have to get to the point where you love yourself so much, and you do so much to make your own self happy, that it doesn't even matter. Like everything else that everybody else does for you, whether it's your husband or your kids or your family or your friends, that's just icing on the cake. To me, that's the way I feel.
And that's the end game. You're absolutely right. That's the end game. That should be everyone's ultimate goal when you're talking about self-love and self-care.
Yes, absolutely. Before we start wrapping up, and ladies, if you have questions, there's a Q&A that's at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and put your questions there so we can go ahead and answer those. We're going to take like the last 5 minutes and answer those. Kelisa, I think I lost your audio. I'm showing your microphone. You're muted. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you have questions, ladies, put it in the Q&A so that we can go ahead and ask Makeba and Kelisa and start wrapping up. But what I do, I want to talk about protecting your peace. If you guys have any tips for protecting your peace, do you want to weigh in on that? Because I think that is very, very important, just moving forward as women, period. Just being able to come to a place where you're not allowing anyone to disrupt your happiness or to disrupt your happy place. What about you, Makeba?
Yeah, well, I actually talk about that a lot in mental health advocacy, is the importance of protecting your peace fiercely and not being afraid of doing that. I always talk about the example of a lion out in the woods or the jungle that is protecting its, or that protecting young that in the time its peace or its well-being or the well-being of its offspring is being challenged, that that response is very aggressive and it's very purposeful, and that it's us that you have to okay being that person, protecting your peace fiercely, because sometimes people just don't understand everything is warranty. And that the point of that is that you cannot stay in that state of stress. Once that has been resolved or has been now taken away from you, you got to go back to a default of being your peaceful self, but to never be afraid with something that important with the fierceness and the velocity that it warrants, because it is very important. If you don't protect it, people will test your boundaries.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Kelisa, what about you on protecting your peace?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, also what Makeba said, and then with the boundaries thing is, just putting those clear, concise, consistent. I say specifically consistent because we can set boundaries, but if you're not consistent, it's not going to be useful, because you're going to go back and forth and let people, oh, well, this time it doesn't matter, I can let that slide. But no, it has to be consistent in order for change to happen. And so, to protect your peace, sometimes you have to put up boundaries and say, okay, this is enough, and this is like not a line that you can cross, and I'm not tolerating certain things, and I'm not being mean, I'm not being hateful, I'm not upset, I'm not mad. It's just I need to protect my peace at all costs.
I agree with that 100%. Before we start wrapping up, Makeba, I want to tell you that I am so impressed with you. Ladies, Makeba is she's a boxer. She's a female boxer. And I don't mean like she goes to her gym and just like hits a cute little bag. I mean, Makeba is like a real boxer, a real female beast of a boxer, and I'm like loving it, and I'm like so excited about it. Will you tell us about how you got started in boxing and like what led to that, and just tell us about it, because I'm like super inspired here. I feel like I want to go hit something.
Sure. Well, I started fighting competitively in 2013 when an organization called Atlanta Corporate Fight Night came to Atlanta, and it was about getting people in corporate America to train and compete to raise money for whatever organization or cause that they wanted to. So I got into boxing to raise money and awareness for Black women and depression. So I actually started training. I have to give a shout out to Buckhead Fight Club, because that is my home, and that we have a women's team that trains there, and the owner is a woman, and she has just created this space that I have taken so many ideas from, with knowing the importance of creating a space, especially for Black women, to be able to be aggressive, to be rude, to be angry, to get frustration out, to be physical in a space that's non-judgmental. That has been the most important and most therapeutic thing I've ever done in my life. So I ended up winning 2 Women's National Golden Gloves championships from that training. And I trained and met just this wonderful group of women athletes. And I started an organization. It first started at Spelman College, is where I launched it, called Black Girls Box. And that's where I teach the importance of being present and being aware and bringing your stuff into the gym with you, which boxing allows you to do. Other exercises don't allow you to do that. You usually go to the gym, you've got your headphones on, you're kind of just tuning things out, you've got your favorite music playing, and then your workout's just over and you're trying to get through it. With boxing, you have to be present with your stuff, and you've got to be aware of how you're feeling. So whatever you're bringing into the ring or bringing into that session, you're being forced to work on. So there have been sessions where, we've cried together. I've trained women that have ended up, bawling, just uncontrollably because they're getting stuff out of their system. And that's what boxing allows you to do. So I definitely encourage women to after all this is over, get into boxing, whether it's competitively or just the fitness aspect of it, because it will help you mentally on a level that no other exercise does.
That's so awesome. I'm so inspired by that. And I have my mom and my sister on this call tonight. So ladies, we're going to be boxing. So I need for y'all to get it together because well, look, I'm going to bring a whole group of women up there to you, Makeba. I'm going to bring the whole women's. We're going to do a ladies night and come to the gym. We're going to hit some stuff. Excited about it too. Yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our last. If we don't have any questions, ladies, if you have questions, go ahead and put in the Q&A. But Makeba, give us like a final message or word of inspiration from Mother's Day for these amazing women we have on the call tonight.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to also just, as a mental health advocate, just bring up the fact that there are moms out there that are dealing with not having a good relationship with their mom, but they're a mom themselves and they're trying to, do the best with celebrating this, time of year as a mother for Mother's Day. But, for us to not assume that everybody's had a great relationship with their mom just because we have, that there have been toxic relationships out there that women have had with their moms. And that goes back to setting boundaries and understanding that if you're in a place where you have to make decisions to not have someone in your life, especially if you have kids and you're in a toxic scenario or environment, that it's okay for you to start making those decisions to, again, protect your peace, protect your space, and for you to guard your own mental health and emotional well-being if you don't have that type of relationship. That's something I never even thought about until I just one year just started posting all these great pictures of me and my mom. And then I had a friend that was like, I wish I had that. And that she was saying it was very difficult for her to be on Facebook this time of year because she did not have that type of relationship with her mom, and she knew that she never would. So just for us to just kind of be aware that not everyone sees this as just a happy time of year, and for people that are going through that, to be okay with that.
Yeah. And to reach out to other women if you know that it's a hard time or first year for someone who doesn't have their mom. Reach out, check on your strong friends, check on your friends that you may, that may need that extra help or support during Mother's Day. Don't forget to reach out to them. Do you want to tell us how to stay connected to you? And you have an amazing podcast also that I would love for you to plug, because I am a big supporter of your podcast. So tell us how to stay connected.
Yes, sure. So the organization that I'm with is Black Mental Matters, BlackMentalMatters, blackmentalmatters.com is our website. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'm also on the board of directors for the Not Okay app, which is an app developed by two local teams here in Georgia who have written the code for an app that reaches out to 5 of your closest friends in case you are suicidal or are going through some type of mental health crisis. They can also be found online at Not Okay app. The Black Mental Matters, we have a podcast every week. It drops. It sounds like an album. My album drops. My podcast drops every Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then on all platforms every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. is where you can find our Black Mental Matters podcast on iTunes, TuneIn, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kelisa, let's get a final message to our ladies for Mother's Day and tell us how to stay connected to you as well.
Yeah, I just want all the ladies to know that even though most of us are mothers on tonight, that's not all of who you are. You still have that part of you where, you are a person outside of, the businesswoman, the mother, the wife and all these things. So we got to dig deep and figure out who that person really is inside. And sometimes that's not an easy journey to take. It's something that, we may think that we know about, but it was always based on what somebody told us about ourselves, but we really didn't or haven't done the work for ourselves to really dig deep and search within and see who that authentic person is. So I just want you mothers to know that, there's still so much for us to learn about ourselves every day.
Yes.
And it's just not being a mom, even though that's the biggest part of us, but it's not just that. And of course, with my practice, I help people figure that out, going through their journey and the process of doing some of the traumas and the pains and the relationship hurts and the baggage. And you can meet me at risingheightscounseling.com. And I also have a podcast, the Kel Shares Podcast, and it's on all the major platforms where we talk about kindness, empowerment, and just sharing a lot of my life lessons professionally and personally.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, both so much for joining me today. And if you ladies that are tuned in do not have any additional questions, my final word to you, I want to encourage you to seek help if you need help. And if you need help, ask for help, because we do not ask for help. We wait until things pile up on us. And trust me, the people around you do not have any problems coming to you to ask you for help. So when you need help, don't forget to return the favor and say, I need help. And whether that means I need help with my kids, I need help cleaning this closet, I need help losing weight, I need help, finding my peace. I don't care what it is, whatever it is, don't forget to ask people around you for help. And if you need professional help, these amazing ladies, you can reach out to them. They can guide you. You can find an accountability partner that can hold you accountable and keep you up. Now, there has to be somebody in your circle constantly that is not always draining you and pulling and sucking the life out of you. You got to have somebody in your corner that is going to pour into you, that is going to give you more, that's going to fill you back up. And when you want to quit and when you want to give up, they won't let you. So you have to make sure you have somebody in your corner. You don't have to have a whole team, but you got to have at least one person that you can call and say, listen, I'm having a real hard day. I feel like I want to quit. I want to cry. If it's me, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and cry, but you're not going to stay there for long. You're going to have to get back up. I'm going to say, go ahead and cry, then bring it on back. You got to have that person that can let you cry, and they're going to listen to you, but then they're going to bring you back to where you need to be. So for, this time of year, especially or this time right now, period, when we have so much on us, if you need to cry, cry, but just if you get down a little bit, just get back up. That's all I ask of you. Just don't stay down. Just get back up and just keep pushing to where you want to go. I also want to encourage you, just like Makeba, you found a passion in boxing. I think that's amazing. I want you ladies to also know that your dreams do not have expiration dates. And I know we have so many women on here of different ages. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 50, 60, 80. I don't care. Your dreams do not have expiration dates. So if there's something that you want to do, this is a great time to find out something that you're passionate about, something that you may want to do. I want you to do it. I want you to put a plan down and put that action together and just apply the action and get it done. Put the plan, and when all of this is over and you can actually get out, or if you can do it now virtually, wherever you are, I want you to go for it. I want you to go for it like nobody else's business. I want you to just make yourself a priority and just go for it, whatever it is. Even if people are like, oh, you're always doing too much, you're doing this. I don't care. Just do you, okay? Make yourself a priority and be selfish for a little while. And it's okay. It's okay to be selfish and to make yourself first and make yourself a priority. So happy Mother's Day to you all. This has been amazing. I've enjoyed you ladies so much, and I hope this was a blessing to you guys, because that's the reason that we're here. We want it to be a blessing to you. So happy Mother's Day to you all, and do something great for yourself for Mother's Day, because you deserve it. Okay? Happy Mother's Day, ladies. See you later.